Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Nev.
And I'm Paul Anthony.
You know us as the hosts of this podcast.
But today I thought we'd do a little something different.
Since this show is being recorded on what is called April Fool's Day,
we thought it would be fun to get two of the biggest lovable fools we could to take over for a week.
We hope you will enjoy the show and have a wonderful rest of your week.
And remember to be nice to each other, damn it. Take it away, boys.
One is a radio rock jock from Canada. The other is a simple school teacher from Utah. Together, there are no signs of intelligent life on board. But with both having decades of hosting experience under their belt, the one thing we are sure of is you will be entertained. This is the Escape Pod Cast, a weekly look into the mobile game Star Wars: Galaxy of Heroes, live from the Nerdy Network studios of Yavin 4. Here are your hosts, Dickie Darkside and Going Nerdy.
Coming up on this week's edition of the Escape Pod Cast.
We did it.
Hello there, friends. It is I, Thaddeus from Going Nerdy.
And I am Dickie Darkside of the Darkside Report.
Together, Dickie and I were able to lock Paul and Nev inside their own escape pod airlocks.
That's right, Thad, my friend. We have taken command of the Millennium Fulcrum. Wait a minute. Didn't something happen in the airlock a couple of years back?
I don't remember the exact details, but I'm sure they aren't important. Bob is reporting to us now, so you know what that means, right?
If we get a hype train, we will send that directly to the noob.
I'm not sure how long we can keep this charade up, but I'm also not sure how much oxygen is in the escape pod.
So you mean we're gonna have to let them out?
At least for the incoming transmission. We'll gotta let them out for a little bit, and we'll get to know Paul and Nev a little better as guests instead of hosts.
Well, that is awfully nice of us to make sure they don't die in there.
We are generous. So what are we going to cover in the first two segments, though?
Well, I do hear you are the Sultan of Speculation.
Indeed I am.
The pragmatic prognosticator.
This is true.
The Mike Zero of Galaxy of Heroes.
Oh, okay. That is where I draw the line.
Whoa. I'm sorry. So sorry. Sorry, buddy.
It's okay. It's okay. I think this intro has gone on long enough.
No Dickie and the Noob this week since I had show prep duties, but a full 4-week run happens next week.
But we still have Patreon's Choice on the Bridge, featuring all four of us.
All this and breaking news, as in if it happens.
Right here on the Escape Pod Cast Bald Edition.
The Escape Pod Cast News.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard the Millennium Fulcrum. We are your special guest MCs today.
What? How you guys?
For those of you who don't know this lovely bald man to my left, that is Mr. Thad from Going Nerdy. And I am Dickie Darkside from the Darkside Report, as you saw. And yes, we have locked Paul and Nev in the AirPods.
Can I tell them what I locked them in with, Dickie? How I locked them in?
Want to reveal the secrets?
I took the wooden spoon that I earned last week in my GAC, and I stuck it between the doors. You'd think that it would be harder to lock someone into an AirPod, but the Millennium Fulcrum has a lot of issues.
Well, I mean, at least that wooden spoon serves a purpose, right? You got that thing on purpose.
I did.
Yeah, specifically for these purposes.
Yeah.
So it's awesome that we're here on such a news-packed week. All the news we received this week was incredible.
Absolutely. I am so excited to be here to talk about all of the stuff that we got.
Yes, from the updates to all the crazy character reveals to everything.
Seriously, this is a jam-packed show. Now, before we move on, we can't forget up right above Dickie there. We've got we didn't deactivate him, right? Because we felt like that would be wrong. we've got Bob. How are you, Bob?
Good, guys. It's good to finally not have a couple meat bags on here. And, Dickie, a friend of Noob, is always a friend of mine. So you're always welcome. Thaddeus, you're closest to a robot, even though you're a humanoid. So I am over the moon to have you guys on here. I'm tired of those two meat bags always thinking they can be on here all the time. And I'm glad that you're here.
There is one big problem, though. I tried to fix his programming because look at all that hair on his head. What is that? I tried to fix that. I specifically tried to fix the hair file and deleted it, and it's still there.
Well, what's
I
weird,
don't know.
It's a virus that you have to completely factory reset me until
I always did figure hair was some sort of virus. That's why we're healthy alpha males.
Yeah.
When they made me, they wanted me to look like a mixture of Steven Seagal and like Paul Rudd or something. That was Nev and Paul's.
They did an amazing job if that's what they were going for. Like it is, you could be their illegitimate love child.
I am. I don't want to tell you how I was conceived, so we'll just leave that for another show.
We don't want to know. We don't want to know. When Steven Seagal is involved, the last thing that we want to know about is conception.
I'm actually a 4-way love child, but we'll say that for another time.
All right.
Well, way. I guess the Camino and splicers had something to do with that.
Probably. So go ahead.
So I did try to look up our key demographic for tonight, and I found out I looked for it everywhere. There is no word for people who are attracted to bald people.
That's a lie. There's got to be.
I thought it was something like a sapiophile is a person who's attracted to intelligent people. There's even like words for like people who are attracted to dead people, but not to bald people. What is going on with that? That's just the weirdest thing to me. So I think part of our mission tonight, and I'm going to leave it up to chat, you've got to come up with a name for people who have a thing for bald people. And baldophile doesn't count.
Yeah, baldophile does not count.
So I leave it up to chat. Whoever comes up with the best name in chat, we are submitting it to Webster's tomorrow as the official term.
Yep. So awesome. I'm very excited to hear the submissions. Yeah.
So I hear this podcast is actually about a video game, so maybe we should try and talk about that. But as we said, this was an amazing news week. We did get no news this week, so I think we will have to take a quick train down to Speculation Town.
I think it's a good idea. It's always a good idea to take a quick train down to Speculation Town. Should I start then? I'm very curious. I'm very excited actually about some news that came from the SWGOH events. Can we jump into this?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So on March 25th, our good friend Sig, who I don't know how he does it. Bob, you got to let me know if there is a interface that Sig has where he can plug something into like a hole and like rotate it. I don't know. But he's able to get this information.
Well,
there are 5.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is such a piece of junk. It needs tons of upgrades. That's why my computer system's so slow. It takes me 30 minutes to find that information. So we really got to get on Nev and that about upgrading some things around here.
Yeah.
I do want to give a shout out before we go too far in it to KB Driven for calling out the Expos jersey. I had to wear something because Paul's seat is littered with Marlins gear. I just had to do something to kind of like class the seat up a little bit, so.
Yeah, we didn't have a whole lot of time after locking them in the AirPod before we went live here. Like they're still back there, like kicking around. So, it's a whole thing.
I forgot to shut Noob off though. He might try and go rescue them.
No. Freaking noob. But here's the thing. 5 new marquee events are coming to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Now, these 5 kits, these 5 new kits, we know because there are 5 new character bundles coming in. Now, from what we can tell, these exclude the 5th brother or the next, marquee
Inquisitor.
the next Inquisitor, which is probably the 5th brother. So, I don't know. I mean, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking we're going to stick to this format of releasing 5 characters and then having a legendary. I don't see another GL coming till at least the next road ahead, which is 3 months. So I do think it makes sense. We've had 2 events now where it's give us some marquees. You have to get those marquees. And I think we will see it again. It's just what is it going to be? And I actually did some research on this. My very first video I ever uploaded on YouTube was the factions I thought we needed to come to the game. And I went and rewatched that video today just to kind of refamiliarize myself with my thoughts from 2 years ago, because I barely remember my thoughts from this morning. Yeah. And it was interesting because we did get some of the factions. I did say we needed a Mandalorian faction. We got them. I did say we needed Inquisitors. We just got them now. There was a couple of other factions that we have gotten, but there is a lot of them that are still not in the game that 2 years ago I was calling out that we need. I thought it would be really cool if Death Watch got a faction.
Yeah.
The Tuskens, they need to be finished off. That's something.
Seriously.
One that I think could be possible was the Mantis crew. I think it would be.
I like that. I like that.
I would love Cal Kestis, and I would love I forget her name now. The Night Sister, Marin.
Marin, yeah.
I would love to have her come in and revitalize the Night Sisters and maybe make that event possible, where Pelt just destroys everybody.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I hate that event. So that's actually a really interesting concept, because we know that the second sister, who was the first Inquisitor who came in, was from the Jedi Fallen Order video game. Also, we do have, and this is just kind of trying to connect the dots. We also have Jedi Fallen Order 2. Well, we don't have a launch date yet. The rumor is that we will see a trailer at EA Play or sometime in March. I forget what it is. I don't know if it's
Star Wars Celebration.
That's the one. They're not having EA Play. I forgot which one they weren't having. So at Star Wars Celebration, it's likely that we will see a trailer for Jedi Fallen Order 2, which it won't be called Jedi Fallen Order, it'll be Jedi some other tag. So with that, it's likely that they're going to do some kind of cross promotion to build the love, to build the happiness.
And they are the Mantis crew, so we are in desperate need of ships. So on top of bringing in those characters, we're bringing in another ship.
Absolutely.
Although I don't know where a Jedi ship really fits in, but
I could see that not as a Jedi ship, but more of a scoundrel ship. Let me look. Bob, can you actually do a search? What is the name of the pilot of the Mantis ship?
Sure. Yeah, just give me 2 seconds.
Okay. The reason I bring this up is, if I'm not mistaken, and I very well could be, I believe that pilot is also bald.
Isn't he some sort of he's the little dude. He's like,
yeah.
He's like Queel. He's
Is he an Ugnaught?
Okay. His name is Grease Dritus.
Yes, Grease does he have hair?
Let me look a little further into it.
This is a very important. Baldness is a theme for this
Yeah.
entire week. Bald awareness and sensitivity towards bald people is the theme.
Yeah.
Of it.
So I may have beat you to it, but it looks like he's got what I like to call the
It's got like Tekken hair.
Yeah, what would you call it? It's the friar hair, where it's like
The crown.
the crown, right? It comes around the back, and he's got it built into some awesome chops, which are just super impressive. I think, bald and mutton chops. Brun says in the chat. This is I think something that we could see. Now, here's where I was thinking. Dickie accidentally insulted me before we came on the air. He didn't mean to. He said that Arnold, with his latest video, is the new Alex Jones of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, which then, drops me down to Mike Zero status, which, I mean, once you've reached the level of Alex Jones status in a conspiracy level of things, dropping back down to Mike Zero is just not the same. And so he didn't realize how sensitive I was towards that. But in Arnold's video, he talks about how he believes that Red 5 is coming, which is insane, although I totally agree with him. But one of the characters that I would like to see, and again, bringing it all full circle, I promise this isn't just a rant, Saw Gerrera. Saw Gerrera is part of the Partisans, or leads the partisan team, right? We know that to an extent, I was going to say Indira Stokes. That's not a character in this universe. Iden Versio. Iden Versio was part of the Partisans for a time, or at least that's what we get from the book. That's what we get from her book, the Jedi Battlefront 2 book. Yeah.
I do think we could see Saw Gerrera. I think it would be awesome to have him in the game. He absolutely should be. But I think if we do see him, he'll likely be when they do content for the Andor show. Because I do see him being part of the Andor show. Like it's going to be the underground, the Rebel underground. If Saw Gerrera isn't in that show, I'll be very surprised. And I think once we see content from there, that's when we could see Saw Gerrera.
And I could see that. I could see them holding off. The reason I'm thinking Saw is because he's part of Star Wars Rebels. He has a story arc in Star Wars Rebels. He's in Clone Wars. He's much younger in Clone Wars, but he also has a pretty big cut scene in Jedi Fallen Order, right? And if they are going to spend some time giving us characters from some of these video games, which I hope they continue to do, Mantis Crew, absolutely. But also, I would love to see Saw Gerrera. I think he would be an amazing character.
He would be. I mean, he's touched so many different Star Wars properties too. He's touched the Clone Wars. He's touched the movies. He's one of those characters that kind of pops up everywhere. And now he will be in live action, I'm sure, TV. So,
yeah, I agree.
But speaking of characters who are vital to the Star Wars stories that pop up a little bit everywhere and who aren't in this game, I, for an April Fool's, put a video on my channel today. It was a fake kit reveal for Roose Tarples, the general of the Gungan army. And that was the faction I've been pushing ever since I started my channel. I've wanted the Gungans to come to the game. And I was intrigued. I put this out there for one reason. I was intrigued to see the reaction to it, how people would react. And I was really shocked by the amount of love for the idea of bringing the Gungans to the game. Probably because I didn't start with Jar Jar. But I think they would be an amazing addition to the game. I seriously doubt it is them, unfortunately. But I mean, they are more essential to the story than the Geonosians are to the Tuskens. Well, I won't say maybe not the Jawas, but they're an actual army. They are an army. They can fight. They have. I think they would look super cool with like one guy with the holographic shield, one guy who's like running the Booma. And Tarpals is one of my favorite characters. His death in the Clone Wars was one of my favorite moments in the Clone Wars, when General Grievous is about to stab him and he goes, "How does it feel to die?" And Tarpal goes, "Not die, sacrifice." And that was one of my favorite moments in the Clone Wars. Like, I fell in love with that character right there. Like he just had such, like, for such a goofy race of people, he had such eloquence and bravery about him. And I was like,
well, that's what's so interesting, and we always unfortunately associate the Gungans with Jar Jar, right? And Jar Jar played his part, right? Love him or hate him, and I think a lot of people dislike Jar Jar. They are a really well developed society, right? Just because the rest of Naboo didn't take them seriously, didn't mean or doesn't mean that that the rest of the my gosh, I can't say it, galaxy at large didn't take them seriously as a society.
And I'll say one thing too, as a father to a toddler, my son sometimes picks up the game and he'll see me playing and he wants to do a battle and I'll set him up somewhere. But one of the questions he always asks, he's like, "Daddy, where's Jar Jar?" To a kid, like, Jar Jar is like, if we look at it, we love C-3PO, but he is the Jar Jar of the previous generation. We were just kids when we met him, so we fell in love with him then. But Jar Jar is that entryway. So I think they deserve to be in the game. Whether or not you include Jar Jar is another thing. And I was surprised by the reaction, because I got a lot of positive reactions, like people who are like, "Yes, we need this in the game." There was one guy who literally sent me a message and unsubscribed to my channel for even suggesting that we bring the Gungans to the game. And to him, I'm sorry. But overwhelmingly, I saw a lot more positive than, like, people who were saying, "I wish this wasn't an April Fool's joke."
Yeah.
So,
and I will say that would be a great way to introduce the Gungans as an April Fool's joke, but not joking, right? Because then it would continue on past the first, and there'd be so many people like, "Are you really bringing in the Gungans?" I mean, but if you look at the faction itself, and I think you said this in pre-show, visually, they would be a very stunning team to play. They have a lot of contrast available to them color-wise, but they would be like a highly evasive team. Right? They wouldn't be hit very often. They'd have a high protection rate. It'd be, I think, a really fun team to play.
and I think they could, if they did bring them, they could fill a very needed niche right now in the game, which is a faction that would take down light side territory battles, because it would make sense that they would take down the Separatists. When I designed the kit for Tarpals, just as like a fan kit, my whole idea was, how will these guys take down Separatists? And how would these guys, if like Gungans will get you 4 out of 4 in every wave of territory battles against the Separatists, like no question. And I think we need that in the game. I think at 2 years now, and we're still struggling with light side territory battles. Even if you have all the GLs and you have everybody, you're still struggling 2 years later. I think we need a team that will make that, lighten that burden a little bit.
Yeah.
And real quick, I want to say they could like counter General Grievous and Grand Arena, and maybe a lot of people can beat them, but they could be a hard counter to General Grievous, because think of how you have to use CLS in so many situations in Grand Arena. If you could get a hard counter just to General Grievous, it would be very helpful in Grand Gap for sure.
Well, yeah. In my fantasy kit, I specifically put for that every time a Gungan damages a Separatist or droid ally, he does 10% max health damage to the leader. So that just melts Grievous down. Like,
Yeah.
and that's what they're designed. It makes sense in the lore. And we know that this game doesn't always make sense in the lore, but
They try, but it's not always accurate. Right?
No, not always, but I mean, it's hard too. I mean, part of the fun of this game is you have characters from every era interacting, and I think that's kind of what the nerds in us kind of love about the game, is being able to fight your, you know, it is fantasy booking, like fantasy matchups and stuff better. That's what at least originally attracted me to the game. So
yeah, I mean, well, it's nice to be able to have a Jedi Master Luke Skywalker being the lead in front of a Darth or a light side Revan. I mean, that's just a fun combo, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's enjoyable in a number of ways. But yeah, so I like that. I really do. As far as the rest of these, and you mentioned one of them, I think that we're finally going to be getting some characters from the Book of Boba Fett. I think some of these characters will play into later things, but I think we are going to be getting a Tusken rework, and that Tusken chieftain and the Tusken ninja. But with that, let's head out to break. We'll come back and we'll continue our discussion on what these little characters could be, where we could see them, and what else might be coming to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
HotBot in HotUtils is one of the most comprehensive tools for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
With integration into the super useful mod tool Grand Ivory, HotUtils can help you tackle some of the most difficult aspects of the game.
Not sure how to mod your roster for a certain game mode?
Use one of the many filters that automatically assigns the right mods to the right character in accordance with your guild needs.
Now with the digital features that can assist you and your guild officers in territory battles and territory wars, HotUtils is an amazing value.
And don't forget the useful tools for yourself in Grand Arena, like the in-depth and customizable compare feature.
Got multiple accounts like Neil, but not the time to remod them all?
With this one-stop utility, you can switch between your alts and never miss a mod upgrade or a mod switch before locking into GAC or Territory Wars.
Starting at just $5 a month, you don't want to miss out on these great tools.
HotUtils is the new official remodding service for the Escape Pod. Cast.
Visit HotUtils.com to learn more. That's HotUtils.com. And go ahead and spice up your Galaxy of Heroes experience.
Podawans, be sure to support the shows brought to you on the Escape Podcast Twitch and YouTube channel by becoming a Patreon. For as little as $2 a month, you can support us and get a little extra for yourself. With tiered rewards, including access to Shitty Bill's Arena tracking bot, after-show access, inclusion in the GA Center leaderboards, behind-the-scenes access, and much more. There is something for everyone on our Discord server. Head on over to Patreon, that is patreon.com/The Escape Pod, and sign up today. Thank you for supporting and listening to the Escape Podcast.
Welcome into the Patreon leaderboard, brought to you by the Patreons of the Escape Podcast. I am Paul Anthony, and would you like to see yourself on the leaderboards just like some of your favorite streamers that you see on GA Center? Well, we'd love to have you. Sign up for next Patreon leaderboard, ends this Friday, and you can sign up at patreon.com/theescapepod and get in on the action. Let's see how everybody did. D goes 2-1. 30-18 in banners, 27 wins, 1 loss, 8 holds. D, you're doing really, really well. I look forward to seeing what this final board is going to look like. All right, let's move on to Dark Helmet. Dark Helmet goes 3-0, 50-94, 39 wins, 5 losses, 14 holds. Dark Helmet doing better and doing really well in these in the new style. Dr. Jojo, on the other hand, goes 1-2. He reports, I'm a nerd, but it looked up and started the week as the 8,895th largest account on GG, yet I was ranked 593. Round 1, I faced the 290th biggest account, which was the former alt of a buddy who had very well modded teams. It did not go well. Round 2, 1 million GP disadvantage, and my opponent went efficiency route. And while I one-shot his ground, his fleets killed him. Round 3, second smallest account in the bracket, only had 200,000 GP on him. But the second highest legacy score, only a few thousand below Dr. JoJo. He happened to one battle, his Rey versus his Starkiller. He dropped versus his Lord Vader and apparently needed a 69 versus the Rolo lead to tie him, but he didn't have anyone to do a solo. Very, very good job, Dr. JoJo. 39-68, 34 wins, 13 losses, 7 holds. We move on to 4 strong. He says, brag all you want, even though you're a big shot streamer, you're still one of us, Thad. In the Patreon chat. He goes 2-1, 24-89, 21-3-9 for the leader of the boards last week. Let's see how he ended up finishing. Hot Sauce goes 2-1, 48-17, 39-14, and 17. Hot Sauce, of course, from HotUtils. He is a Patreon. We love him. All right, and let's take a look and see. Sephiroth goes 1-2, 14-41, 13-5, and 7. Sephiroth actually was leading the boards last week, 4 strong the week before. Let's take a look at these final boards. By the way, Sephiroth says 1-2 is just completely overwhelmed with a Galactic Legend disadvantage. Round 1 was a lucky auto set win. Round 2, too many GLs, and Cat with no real power. Praying it's enough to hold on my own. Is it? No! We have a major shakeup, ladies and gentlemen. Dark Helmet is our Patreon champion at 7-5 with 3,764 as his skill ranking with 19,057 banners. D go second place. D, who normally is at the bottom, 7-5, 1480. And then Sephiroth, if he would have had 1,077 more banners, he and D would have tied. It would have went down to skill rating. He still would have lost, so he needed 78. Hot Sauce with the better banner over Dr. JoJo, and 4 strong now at the bottom. But guys, it was fun this month. I can't wait to do it again. I'm going to throw it back to Thad and Dickie right here on the Escape Podcast.
We want you. Join the GAC Chain Gang today. This is the commander of the 506 Procrastination Battalion and the leader of the GAC Chain Gang. I am sending out a call to action for any SWGOH content creators on Twitch who would be willing to broadcast their GAC attack rounds alongside some of our best, including Mr. Jigabachi, Dr. Zeppers, Rico 1982, and the Bounty Honeys. What is the Chain Gang, you ask? We are an amazing group of content creators who are dedicated on streaming the Grand Arena Championship attack rounds on Twitch. The idea is to provide continuous content back-to-back from one streamer to the next and allow viewers to enjoy more SWGOH content, as well as enjoy the variety of streamers that are currently present in the group. If you are interested in joining the Chain Gang, please reach out to myself on Discord at AndyBees, #7465, or you can send us a message on our Twitter page at ChainGAC. Join us today. We have your back.
You're listening to the Escape Pod Cast.
So we are back. I want to start off with a special message. Rowan, if Grandma is still letting you watch this, it's time to go to bed. With that out of the way, because Grandma will never actually force him to go to bed. So with that out of the way, no, they don't listen.
Yeah, grandmas don't care. You make rules and grandmas laugh.
Yep.
Right. Sorry.
He literally laughs when you tell him he's going to Grandma's house. He's like, all right, I get to stay up.
Yeah. I get all of those rules you gave me don't apply. I get to drink caffeine. Grandma gives me rock stars right before they send me home with you. Right? Grandmas. I'm not bashing you, Miss Darkside. Because grandmas are awesome too. So we were talking about these potential characters. Where did we leave off? What was What was I saying? Something about
we had-
Star Wars. I'm sure of it.
Yes, we had left off. I think we had moved on from Andor and that.
You guys were just talking about like who you thought the 5 characters would be.
The Boba Fett
The
characters.
Dynamite characters.
So first off, one of the things that we've seen in this game is lots of reworks have been happening lately. Lots of them. We've seen the whole Omicron Persei 8 thing taking over, and so it's really an interesting time because they don't even have to completely rework the Tusken team to make them viable, but we've seen quite a few reworks, and we'll talk about it here in a moment. We've seen Mace finally reworked, but a Tusken rework would, I think, be an interesting one. And now, if they introduce characters from the Book of Boba Fett, it would make complete sense to not only give us these 2 new characters, the Tusken Chief and, the Tusken Ninja Lady, but give us some reworks, because now the Tuskens are actually needed for like Lord Vader. I could see them adding them and making some adjustments. What do you think, Dickie?
It would be the same kind of treatment that they gave the Geos when they added Geo Brood Alpha. They didn't really change the other kits that much. It was just what Brood Alpha added to the equation brought that entire team up. So I think, bringing the Tusken Chief in it's a perfect opportunity to finish off that squad and to make it whole. I think it's something that people would love to see.
Yeah, because the Tuskens have been around since day one, and there's a lot of people who have them who haven't spent time developing them or unlocking them, but because they've been playing since day one, they have them 7-star, right? And if they didn't go after Lord Vader, they probably still have them geared to a decently high place. So I think it could be a lot of fun to introduce these 2 new characters because of what it could potentially do for that faction.
Well, by adding 2 characters, you're essentially adding 5. So
yeah,
you're only actually adding 2 to the game, but you're adding viability to the other 3. So It's making you gear up 5 characters for only introducing 2.
Yeah. And that does kind of fit in with the way that they do things, it's all about the Benjamins for CG. I mean, I'm not bashing them there. They are a company, they need to make money, but that would be a big bang for their buck by, farming or introducing characters like that. And then forcing, which, like you said, does force people to go back and rework them, spend time and energy and love for the Geos.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they're kind of like the bottom of the rung right now, where a lot of people are just running out of or just adding relic levels. And I have all 6 GLs unlocked. I just unlocked Star Killer. I'm just working on random squads, but if you're forcing me to do 5 more, I mean, I am free to play, but for those spenders, it's forcing them to spend more. So
you're free to play and you've got all 6 GLs unlocked?
Yes.
Holy crap, you are good at what you do, my friend.
I give a lot of credit to my old guild. I got into a very good guild when I was young, thanks to a guy in my softball team who got me into a guild that helped me unlock Treya before. We were one of the first guilds to unlock Treya, and I think I was just gotten to level 85. So I was getting first place every day in my arena squad, and from then on, I never looked back. So
that's awesome.
That was thanks to my guild, and thanks to Bodhi. If you're in there watching right now, I know he watches the show pretty often. So thank you for the years of guidance and you gave us.
Yeah, nice. So I want to wrap this part up, but here are my predictions. And I made a video over my channel about this. I think everything is leading to a Jabba the Galactic Legend. I think that it is, right? If you're looking at, so it's April Fool's 1st. It's April 1st. This is not an April Fool's joke. All of the Book of Boba Fett characters that we could get, with the exceptions of maybe the 2 Tuskens, you're definitely going to get Black Chrysanthemum if they're going Book of Boba, because if they didn't, that would be a huge missed opportunity. Cobb Vanth, I like the concept of, but I'm not entirely sold on. I think that he would be great. My 5th, totally, and while this doesn't necessarily apply to Boba, it needs to come to the game. Paz Vizsla, because it's freaking Paz Vizsla. It would be a great addition. But all of the characters that we've seen with the Book of Boba Fett and a lot of the Mandalorian all connect back to Jabba, right? It's Jabba's absence that makes Mando or Boba even be a daimyo.
You forgot one character though from Book of Boba. I think they do need to bring in Pelimoto to pep up the morale on the Jawa squad.
Oh yeah, that's a valid point, right? She gets the Jawas moving, right?
She gets that team buffed, rare, and ready to go. She gets their hairy little bodies all primed.
Yes, they are apparently quite hairy, quite hairy. Now we did talk about like the Tuskens and reworks. You wanted to talk about, you had a question about another rework, which was
the Mace Windu rework. I posed the question on a couple of different message boards today. Is the question I asked is, did you give the Mace Windu rework his 3 did you give him his 3 Zetas? And if so, do you regret it? And I got it. Also, where are you using him? Like, where is he fitting in? Because while we looked at the rework and it was like, wow, he's amazing now, he just doesn't seem to have a consistent home. And I got a lot of responses. People like, yeah, I gave him his Zetas immediately. And a lot of people were like, I wish I could have them back. I don't know where I'm using him. And other people who are like, oh my God, he's amazing. He's transformed this team or he's transformed that team. People are using him under Padme. People are using him under JKR. People who are using him in Arena under the Jedi Master Kenobi squad. So it's very interesting that this rework isn't as like black and white as the Vader rework was. Like, we knew Vader, yes, give him his Zetas. He had 3 Zetas, kind of the same. So that's why we need to compare the 2. We knew where Vader fit. He was under a Palp lead, and that team just right away, it was figured out that's where he goes. Mace hasn't gotten the same kind of treatment. He wonders, like a lot of people are saying, well, all I've done is I've put him on my Qui-Gon Jinn Omicron team and he sits there on D. But even with that Zeta, with that Omicron, they still get wiped by Bad Batch. It doesn't really change much to that team's defensive. So
yeah, and I'm kind of in that latter category. Like I put all 3 on Mace, but I put him on my Qui-Gon Jinn defense. Right now, my Qui-Gon is only Relic 3, which isn't the greatest of relics. But I'm really curious though. What did most people say though? I mean, was there one that leaned one way more than the other?
I saw a lot of JMK, like some people who put him on their JMK squad and then moved Kenobi to their Padme squad or moved Kenobi. That is one thing I plan on experimenting with in GAC. One thing that can kind of throw Bad Batch for a loop is putting Kenobi in with that Omicron Qui-Gon Jinn lead. That can kind of change things up. I ran into it and it wasn't as clean a win as it normally was. So credit to my opponent that day for giving me that idea, as most great ideas I get do come from my opponents. But
so can I tell you what I do with mine?
Yeah, let's hear it, Bob.
Absolutely.
This is new. This is right after Grand Arena, so I haven't tried it yet. But I usually use him with my JMK. I'm taking him off that, and I'm putting both him and General Kenobi on my Qui-Gon Jinn team with Grandmaster Yoda and Anakin. So hopefully that takes, the attention off those two AoEers, and hopefully they can get their AoEs off while you're still trying to get through those two taunts. Will it work? I don't know. But now I'm using Clone Wars Chewie at gear 8 on my JMK, and it's still working just as good as if you put General Kenobi or Mace Windu on JMK. So pretty much this worthless Clone Wars Chewie is taking the delete when you go against a mirror match JMK. That's my thoughts on it. It's a little theory crafting. I'm not the best at that, but we'll see how it works.
That's an interesting concept. That's good I like that.
It is interesting, but the thing is, it still doesn't give a way to stop Bad Batch from wiping that team out. And that's what I was hoping in a rework, or there would be something that would come that stops that Omicron from just being Bad Batch food. Because that's all that team is right now, is everybody. I look every time I put that team on defense now, my opponent Bad Batched it. It's just official. It's where it goes. And I've tried to save him for offense. I actually, in this territory war, used him with my Jedi Knight Revan to try and take down a Grievous, and it worked. I ended up losing, and I almost never lose that counter. So I don't know. It's a great rework. It's just weird to find its home. And I got a lot of responses to the question. I got some people who are just like, I gave it to him. I gave him the Zetas, and they've just kind of sat there. And there's a lot of people who love it and who found him a home. And it's interesting because there's like 4 different homes where he's gone to. And
yeah,
I guess you can say he's a plug and play character at that point, but he's only a plug and play for Jedi and Galactic Republic. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm curious though. There's a lot of characters in this game that don't have homes, or I think they don't have homes that CG originally intended, right? I'm curious though if this rework was leading to something else, right? We've seen a lot of Empire come into the world lately. It would make sense for them to get to refocus on a new faction. Jedi, could we see more Galactic Republic be coming in? I don't necessarily want more Galactic Republic at this time, although they are my favorite faction. I love the GR. I think they're great. But I think we're going to get a focus definitely on one faction more than another. So I wonder though if what they're doing is preparing us for something.
That is entirely possible. And I would love to see somebody come into the game and give that rework purpose, or say this is definitely where he goes, or
yeah,
he's not
and
just.
And that makes the most sense.
Yeah, because right now he seems to be a throw. Even with the great kid, he's just a throw-in, and I haven't seen any team that beats something that it wouldn't have previously beat without him.
Yeah.
And that's so it's not like the Vader team who all of a sudden, okay, well, this team was like day one of that was released, somebody beat Rey with it. Like somebody literally was beating Galactic Legends the day that rework was released. I haven't seen anything like that from this rework where it's like, oh my God, now we can counter this with Mace Windu.
Yeah. I think that something could be coming. I wouldn't be shocked if it didn't, or if what came was not necessarily a Galactic Legend, but one of those out of faction counters that just seems to really function well together. Like Lord Revan, not yet. Darth or light side Jedi Knight Revan. I don't know why I forgot his name there. Like Jedi Knight Revan with so many other Jedi. right? He's not specifically to just Old Republic Jedi. He's all Jedi work well with him. And so it could be that he's going to be an off faction counter or off faction, part of an off faction team. That's what I'm thinking.
That is possible. It's just interesting because the rework has been out in the world. It's been there for like what, 2 to 3 weeks now?
Yeah.
And it still hasn't really, I haven't seen it do anything amazing. I haven't seen it blow it me away. Nothing that warrants a 3 Zeta investment. I know Zetas aren't necessarily what they used to be, but I even talked to, there's some people who responded who gave him his Omicron and are still like, the people who gave him his Omicron were kind of, they seemed more underwhelmed than the rest.
Okay.
To say, like, it's not doing anything it didn't do before, which is strange because it is a great kit. Like, I was very excited when I saw it, like a lot of people were. I didn't even hesitate. I gave him the 3 Zetas right away. Like, yep.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was like, that looks dope. I'm excited for him. I can't wait to get him. I have the Zetas available and nothing else to spend it on. And so, yes. And that's where I went with it. I don't personally regret it because I didn't have anything to spend it on. No one else for me was up there ready. And he was. So for me, he was an easy choice. But like you've mentioned, like with some of these other people, I'm not seeing him in action. I'm setting and forgetting, right? Like that's it. I'd love to see him in action. I'd love to see a team that I can actually use him on, but there's nothing there yet.
Yeah. Well, my first experience, like I said, was against Grievous, this territory war. I kept him and I used him on my Jedi Revan team. I'm like, well, maybe he'll help out, do a little bit of extra damage, soak up some extra damage. And he went down quick. He went down quick and I lost a battle I normally never lose. Yeah. It's not a pale comparison to Vader just wiping out Rey day one. So,
I was actually very glad that I've waited for Rey because of that. I'm not anymore. I'm finally going after her, but like that's more has more to do with ships than anything. But as we start to wrap this up, let's actually talk about that. So with these 5 marquees, there could be ships involved. What ships do you think are coming, or what ships do you want to be coming?
I don't know that there's that many ships. I mean, the one that in my heart, like if I were to go just pure lore wise and not the game, is the Punishing One. I would love to see Dengar get his ship, but at the same time, I don't want to see the Executor get better. So, like the Star Wars fan in me goes, yes, Punishing One. The SWGOH player who is living the Executor nightmare in GAC, no, don't buff that team at all.
I'm right there with you. I am frustrated with the Executor, but I would love to see the Punishing One added to the game. I would. So personally, I think a lot of the comments in the have mentioned it. I'd love to see the Ewok glider. I think an Ewok glider in space is just absolutely perfect, right? But
maybe make him just a scoundrel.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I think that there's a lot of things. I think we could see quite a few ships from Rebels. I think we could see quite a few ships from Clone Wars. I think that one of the hidden little things, something's going on. One of the hidden...
Mike, I froze for like a little while. I apologize. I froze and then it just dropped and came back. I don't know what happened.
Well, now my co-host is Bob. Oh, there he's got a switchback. No, I. That was
Sorry,
awesome.
I disappeared for a second. I don't know what happened. My connection just went boom.
I think Run is right. I think Run DMV is actually in the chat correct. I want to see Ventress's ship. I think she needs a ship. I also think she needs a bounty hunter character. But that's wishful thinking. I'm wondering though, is our stuff getting cut? I mean, is there something going on?
I don't know. I think somebody's messing with the ship. I hear my connection went out and now I'm hearing stuff coming from the back.
Now you guys are out.
It's almost like there's a voice in the back.
Well, guys, my sensors are going off and I felt the wooden spoon break. I think the interlock chamber just opened.
My wooden spoon broke?
Yeah, I think I need to go. I need to get out of here and see what's going on, guys. Love you guys. Good to see you.
Did I forget to power Noob off? Noob is. I bet you Noob is letting them out.
HotBot in HotUtils is one of the most comprehensive tools for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
With integration into the super useful mod tool Grand Ivory, HotUtils can help you tackle some of the most difficult aspects of the game.
Not sure how to mod your roster for a certain game mode?
Use one of the many filters that automatically assigns the right mods to the right character in accordance with your guild needs.
Now with additional features that can assist you and your guild officers in territory battles and territory wars, HotUtils is an amazing value.
And don't forget the useful tools for yourself in Grand Arena, like the in-depth and customizable compare feature.
Got multiple accounts like Neil, but not the time to remod them all?
With this one-stop utility, you can switch between your alts and never miss a mod upgrade or a mod switch before locking into GAC or territory wars.
Starting at just $5 a month, you don't want to miss out on these great tools.
HotUtils is the new official remodding service for the Escape Pod. Cast.
Visit HotUtils.com to learn more. That's HotUtils.com. And go ahead and spice up your Galaxy of Heroes experience.
Podawans, be sure to support the shows brought to you on the Escape Podcast Twitch and YouTube channel by becoming a Patreon. For as little as $2 a month, you can support us and get a little extra for yourself. With tiered rewards including access to Shitty Bill's Arena tracking bot, after-show access, inclusion in the GA Center leaderboards, behind-the-scenes access, and much more. There is something for everyone on our Discord server. Head on over to Patreon, that is patreon.com/The Escape Pod, and sign up today. Thank you for supporting and listening to the Escape Podcast.
Back to school. The Escape Pod, cast for kids. It's really cool.
Hello there, boys and girls, and welcome to another story time with the Nev. The past week has been an interesting one. We had to say goodbye to the community manager Doja Fett and hello to his temporary replacement, Meathead Militia. Well, that didn't last long, as we now have a permanent replacement for Doja. Everyone say hello to Sam Witwer. Sam, you're in the game as Starkiller, and now you're a community manager. We know you have tweeted about the game. I was surprised to discover you actually played the game.
All the time. It's a very fundamental piece of my own Star Wars fandom.
Well, you do have your fingers in a lot of Star Wars pies. Are you looking forward to the role and getting interactive with the player base?
I dare say the people that we have playing with us are a lot of fun. Really, really fun people.
Did you chat with Doja so you could weigh your expectations?
There's some crazy stuff going on.
Sounds like you're looking forward to the new role. So, other than the forums to contact you on, people can also check you out on Twitch, I hear.
I think my Twitch name is, creatively enough, Sam Witwer. Same with my Twitter, it's @SamWhitwer. So, and then now here's a tricky one. My Instagram, which I don't really use, but it's @SWhitwer1, and there's a lot of pictures of dogs. my dogs. The best dog.
Well, Twitch and Insta, people, you heard it from the man himself. That's how you find him. Well, you have big shoes to fill. A Doja must have given you the heads up on how passionate and angry the fans get when changes are made to the game that they kind of don't like.
We don't ever want to disappoint people like you. We don't want to make the fans angry.
Yeah, a lot of fans of the game to keep happy. Will you stand up to CG when they get things wrong? You know, I mean, by all means, when they get things right, that's fine. Give praise, but what about when it's wrong?
You're making the best calls you can make, and if you can make more good calls than bad calls, guess what? Then you're good at this. But it's very funny. I've definitely worked with people who are, you know, huge on critiquing.
Yes. Everyone who plays this game is a critic. Well, I'm running out of time, so I'll let you have the last word as the new community manager.
All that matters is that the people around the table are working together and to make sure that everyone has fun.
Well, that's all from me this week. Tune in next week for another Storytime with the Nev right here on the Escape Podcast for kids.
Hello, friends. This is Thaddeus from Going Nerdy, and I approve this message and am compensated for signups for this service.
The world's largest audiobook library is at your fingertips, and the Escape Pod Castaways wants you to try it for free. Head on over to escapepodcastaways.com and click the Going Nerdy offer button to claim a free audiobook and 2 Audible originals. Cancel anytime, and it's absolutely free to sign up. Check out Audible and support the Escape Pod Castaways. All for free. See Audible website for details. Restrictions may apply.
Hey there, listeners. Merchandise specialist Critty K here. Do you enjoy the Escape Pod and want to support the channel and get something a little extra for yourself as well? Head on over to tpublic.com/user/theescapepodcast and grab a Team Neil, Team Paul, Critty Play, or many other fun Padawan designs on your choice of shirt, cup, sticker, mask, or even a magnet. And be sure to check out the Mrs. Anthony Shirts channel on the Escape Podcast Discord and get the latest info on the other designs I make as well. Sometimes there's even a sale going on, so it is smart to stop on by. Thank you for supporting the Escape Pod Cast.
Attention, we are receiving an incoming transmission. Attention. Attention. We are receiving an incoming transmission.
We're good? No. Wait. All right, sorry. We are back, and it looks like somebody has let Paul and Nev out of the airlock. So we will welcome to the show. Yes, Noob will be handled later. Don't worry. I'm gonna have Yarmo look at his circuits and deal with his insubordinates. But we will welcome to the show, now sitting in the guest seats.
No, you guys are in our seats.
Yeah, you guys are in the guest seats. Yeah, you're in the other one.
We're in the pilot seats. I don't know what you're
we're
talking.
flying. I don't know what you're.
I mean, so are we. It's a mirror universe.
I mean, I didn't watch that YouTube video on how to fly a spaceship 5 minutes before we did this for nothing.
Seriously.
I invested some time into watching that video.
Yeah. All right. So far so good, guys. I mean, thank you so much for filling in, having some fun on April Fool's Day here. It has been one of those days that the internet just likes to have fun, and you guys stepped up, and we appreciate that very, very much.
It has been quite a pleasure. It's an honor to take this seat, even though it is filled with Marlin's memorabilia. You know,
I don't know what is on this seat, Nev, but it's disgusting. It is gross.
Is it really?
Yes. Stop.
Because it was clean when I left it.
Oh, well, okay. So some of it may have been my fault. I was drinking earlier and I may have spilled my Coke in the seat. But there are some stains. They look like tea stains or...
I don't drink tea, so it's not me.
Nope. He's getting into everything.
I'll get Yarmo. Yarmo, can you deactivate Noob, please? Thank you.
Powering down.
Now that we've got Noob out of the way, that little rapscallion. This is our opportunity to get to know you guys a little bit better. You guys are always the ones asking the questions.
Yes.
So perhaps we should ask the standard questions. We'll start with Paul. Paul, what type of aquatic creature are you?
I knew this was coming. I'm definitely I'm a character dolphin. I will get characters to 5-star. I don't mind the farm after the 5-star, taking them to 7, through wherever they place them. But but I also am a very big shill for ships. I'm excited, honestly, for the expansion of ships. I have been playing since the beginning. There was a probably 3-month break, and one night that I just collected energy. I hoarded. I didn't even know that was a thing. I just hoarded energy for a while. And one Black Friday night, or Thanksgiving night, waiting in line for Black Friday, I was like, I'm going to play that Star Wars game again, and I've been hooked ever since on that.
So we'll ask you the question that we were discussing before, since you are a shill for ships. If you had to pick out of these 5, if we got 2 new ships, obviously excluding Red 5, we all want Red 5, and
I don't want Red 5. It's another Rebel. We have plenty of Rebels. Unless we get another Rebel command ship, we have enough Rebels.
I would love it simply so I don't have to gear up my Biston and Scarif Rebel Pathfinder. If we get Red 5, then I don't need to gear those 2 up, and I'm happy. So,
but you're asking 5. What ships do I want? If I had to pick 2, you were correct. The Punishing one definitely needs to be in the game, especially because they required Dengar being leveled in order to get the Executor. The other side of that, I definitely want to end up seeing another ship for Grievous's use, but who would pilot it but Grievous' soulless one. I mean, it's in the game already.
It is.
That's true.
And it would be fantastic to see it in the game. It could be one of the no crew ships or whatever, although they haven't given us many of those lately. The last few have had
a crew.
Have had a crew. That was kind of a phase that I think they phased out. But
well, it's interesting though, because the ones, and this isn't obviously for all of them, but with the last 2, with the Resistance and the First Order ships, most people have those crew members already at a functional level, except maybe, new players or earlier accounts, or just people who didn't go after Kylo, Supreme Leader Kylo, that is. And so by giving us these ships for a character that is already heavily in use, it was kind of a nice gesture, right? In my mind, at least. Now, they're not the greatest of ships. They're good and have their place. It's nice to see them being added to it. But I'm excited about that. I think that's pretty neat.
I used the echelon to take down a negotiator just last GAC.
I did too. I still got a wooden spoon, but
you suck.
Well, you needed that wooden spoon to lock you in the airlock, so
it was a choice, Nev. It was a choice.
Yeah,
I knew I was going to steal this ship.
A likely story.
I knew I was going to steal this ship. And so I was preparing.
So Paul, the next question I'll ask you is pertaining again to our previous discussion. Are you pro or anti bringing the Gungans to the game?
I would be for it, but it's they have to be done right, as you guys were saying. But don't make Jar Jar any more than... Put him in the journey guide, but he's not a legendary. Jar Jar is legendary in what he did, but he's not a legendary battler.
Well, you've got to remember, he soloed the AAT. He soloed
on
it.
Accident.
He still soloed it.
Yeah.
It still counts.
Nev,
Some
what
of
do
the
you think?
greatest things in life were done by accident.
Yeah. Like me.
Yeah, me too. I get told all the time I was in an accident. I have no problem with it.
Yeah. What do you think, Nev?
What do I think of what?
The Gungans. Are you pro Gungan?
No, I think they should stay at the bottom of their lake where they belong.
So let's start with Nev. The first question is, what nature of aquatic creature are you?
I'm not.
You are not aquatic. So you are in the free-to-play gang.
I am the free-to-play.
You're the gatekeeper of the free-to-play.
I am the gatekeeper of free-to-play.
If a
person is not free-to-play if I don't say they're free-to-play.
So if Nev were an aquatic animal, he'd be Sasquatch. Because he's not aquatic at all. In fact, because of like the fur, he avoids humidity, right? And so he stays as far away from water as possible.
He's the notary public of the free-to-play club. Yes. He gives you the stamp. So we'll ask you the same question. If you could pick two ships, except for Red 5, obviously. I think we all know where you stand on Red 5. But
not coming until 2023. It's the ship raid reward.
I agree with that. I think that's a very very possible. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially if it's a Death Star raid. I think it's a no-brainer. But if you got to pick two ships to come to the game, what would you pick?
I would probably let's see. I would probably go with Padme's ship. We got two Galactic Republic capital ships, so obviously, some love needs to be shown to that faction in order to fill out both those capital ship rosters. So I would go with Padme's ship as one of them, and I would go with I don't know any First Order or Resistance ships.
When you want to know about a First Order ship or a Resistance ship, just think to yourself, what did the Rebellion have? And then just make it older and crappier. And that's the Resistance.
To tell you how well those factions were developed in the movie, when CG was looking for a new ship for the First Order, they had to go to Galaxy's Edge to find it. They couldn't even find one in the movies. They had to be like, the ship from Galaxy's Edge. That's what we're putting in the game because we don't. There's
okay. Here's the thing. Since we're speaking on ships, I'll give you some ships, Neil. Snap Wexley's A-Wing, Zori Bliss's Y-Wing.
And there's one ship I would like to see.
If we get an A-Wing, it has to be Rebel, which means we need another Rebel.
No, it could be Resistance. Snap Wexley.
What?
Snap Wexley flew the A-Wing in the thing. There were so many different ships at the Battle of Exegol that you could pluck them out there. Do what the tabletop miniature game X-Wing does, and allow you to have multiple of the same ship.
That would be, I think,
If it
brilliant.
is not a special ship, have multiple of the same ship. We kind of get that with a executor, or not executor, with the Malevolence.
You just gave me an interesting idea, though. That Battle of Exegol, the Ghost was there. You could give the Ghost the Resistance tag. It could be a Resistance and Rebel, just like C-3PO.
Okay, we don't know that it was the Ghost.
We know that it was the Ghost. We know that it was the Ghost.
You also saw the Razor Crest there, but it also got blown up. So, okay,
that's just foreshadowing. He's going to get a new Razor Crest.
We know that there are more Razor Crests because Pelimoto mentions it. She's like, "Oh, another Razor Crest, whatever." They're a dime a dozen, she says. So we know there's lots of Razor Crests, but we've never seen another Ghost. So it could be an interesting idea. Like, if we're filling out the Rebel squad, the Ghost isn't necessarily needed on that squad. It could give a boost.
Yeah.
And speaking of Mando and his new ship, I would love to see a Naboo Starfighter in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I'm sure we'll get Mando's silver version at some point, but I would like to see
who would pilot it. We
Captain
already have
Panaka. Captain Panaka could come to this game. He is, if you read some of the lore around him, he's a very interesting character. He ends up in the Empire. He goes from Padme's bodyguard to the Empire. I would love to.
We'll get Nieb Num.
We
and another
better
Millennium Falcon before we get that ship.
What? Okay, so first off, hold on, Nev. Nev. So much.
2023, there is going to be a lot of Return of the Jedi anniversary stuff going on.
Okay, and I agree with that 100%. But I'm agreeing with you, but I'm so angry about it that I've lost all of my words, Nev. I've lost them all.
Alex, shh.
You're gonna make Thrawns, all the Thrawns turn blue or turn red, okay?
Go drink some tangy tangerine, mate.
I need some bone broth.
Let's put our CG hat on for a second. How much did everybody freak out and the nostalgia kicked in when we saw the Naboo Starfighter in The Mandalorian?
I thought it was dumb.
I had to go to the bathroom.
To be, I saw that thing and I went, really? They're going to put Mando in that? It is the equivalent of a middle-aged lawyer deciding to go buy a Ferrari.
Oh, he's a young dad. He needs something cool and hip to pick up the chicks.
So you're saying there's something bad about a Ferrari? Who doesn't love a Ferrari?
I say, give me a minivan. Those things are mobile tactical machines. I've wanted a minivan almost throughout life, right? You put it either on like tank treads or you put like the dual doors that slide open. I don't even have enough kids for a minivan, but I want one because those things are dope. Because essentially the minivan is the closest thing to getting a Millennium Fulcrum in this world.
No, punishing one needs to be. We need another bounty hunter ship. Just one. We don't need two. One minimum. We need one bounty hunter ship minimum. We need at least another 6 Empire ships. Resistance. See, I said weeks and weeks and weeks ago that CG could come up with an easy fix and an easy cheat to the lack of ships by creating a summonable ship for each of the fleets. The reason why nobody complains about the fact that we've only got 5 ships for the Malevolence fleet is because the Vulture droid is summonable. It gets summoned immediately after its destruction, and every time you use a special, another one gets summoned. So if they were to do something with a fighter ship for the Resistance and for the First Order, and for not for GK, but definitely for Mace Windu, for the Endurance, doesn't need it for Home One, doesn't need it for so Akbar GK, they don't need it, but maybe and the Empire, you couldn't. Yeah, one for the Empire.
The Empire with the TIE Fighter, it would make total sense.
Yeah,
because the TIE Fighter never flew alone. The TIE Fighter was always in squadrons.
If they reworked the TIE Fighter to be exactly, it doesn't need buzz droids and stuff like that.
No,
it just needs to, you know, the TIE Fighter just needs to come back. Just needs to be, you know, brought back. So, you know, if it and here's the thing, that obviously it's only summonable if that ship is with its actual capital ship. So, you know, if they rework the TIE Fighter to be summonable like the Vulture droid,
only for Tarkin,
only work if it was with Tarkin or if it was with Thrawn.
Yeah.
This makes me think of the other one, the TIE Defender. The ship that Thrawn was working on definitely needs to be in the game, and that could be.
Yeah, they could make that summonable for Thrawn and rework the TIE Fighter resummonable for Tarkin, and they would only be summonable if they're with respective, you know, because that solves a lot of the, because, you know, there are people saying that, you know, we need like 19 ships in order to facilitate a full complement for every single capital ship. So by having one summonable ship for every single capital ship, it means they only need to create fewer ships that, you know, well, they're dead as soon as they blow up.
But there's another path that you can take for that, though. And something that I always thought is, do we necessarily need 4 reinforcements? If you take it down to 2 reinforcements, you've solved a lot of problems.
If you place that on defense, you give away a banner, even if you lose, or even if you win.
In the game, take down the amount of ships you can put in reinforcement to 2, and you've solved your problems of not having full fleets. Nobody ever actually gets to use their 4 reinforcements anyhow.
I do.
You do?
All the time. I'm terrible. As Nev has mentioned, I am terrible, and I often use I don't often do the ship battles, the fleet battles, but in GAC, I am often using nearly all 4 of those capitals, those ships for the fight.
I'm going to have to coach you on ships.
No, I know, of course, like we were
so close from facing each other.
Yeah,
we had the same skill rating for a while.
And then I pulled ahead.
And now you're back down below.
Yeah, I was going to say, or I dropped severely lower. But like there are people like me who do tend to struggle till they get their feet underneath them, and they need that extra. Now, I don't necessarily think it needs to always. I don't know. I think you're right though. If they were to cut it down, they would free it up. Now, I don't believe that Nev's solution is the right way to go, because then I feel like that's kind of lazy.
No, it is lazy. I'm talking about a quick fix while they work on solving the bigger issue of we need more ships.
Yeah.
It's a quick fix. Rework of the TIE Fighter, TIE Defender thrown in there, and then throw in a couple of ships that are summonable, that will regenerate after their first destruction, and that are summonable every time that the capital ship uses one of its specials, not one of its basics, uses one of its specials. That is a quick, dirty fix. It helps people because you've got ships being generated so that everybody can use all of their capital ships. And in the meantime, they can be like, right, okay, that is going to put a stick as a plaster. It's not a bandage, it's not a fix, it's just a band-aid. All they're doing is band-aiding the problem, but it's a band-aid that the entire community would appreciate, because then everybody would then use all of their ships, and it would involve more, theory crafting and stuff like that. And then while that is happening, then they can move on to, right, well, this new ship with this character, this new ship with this character, and so on and so forth. It's all I'm talking about is a quick, dirty, easy fix. That's it.
Yeah. I do think that it should be more targeted. Like what Paul said with the TIE Defender for Thrawns. I don't think it needs to be one for Thrawns, one for the Executor, one, but it should.
There are exceptions. Yes, the exceptions to the rule. The exceptions would be GK doesn't need it. We've got a full doesn't need home one doesn't need it. The Executor doesn't need it. So those three ships, they don't need it. They're not the issue.
Yeah.
The issue is
Finalizer doesn't need it either.
I'm saying the finalizer needs it until it gets one more ship, just to make. We're talking about being able to max out the ships that will go with a capital ship. That's all I'm talking about. So you can split your empire in half, and even split your Sith if you want to. I'm really not that fussed, but you could split your empire and your remaining dark side, and then have the TIE Defender summonable and rework the TIE Fighter. That covers both those empire ships. Malevolence we don't worry about. Something for the Endurance, something for the Radus, something for the Finalizer. It's a quick stopgap. Simples. They won't do it though because it's too easy, and it makes sense.
No, they won't do it. They should for some of them. I think you're absolutely right, Nev. I think for some of them, they absolutely should. Resistance, in my mind, definitely needs it. Same with Thrawn. Definitely, in my mind, there is no. You're right. But
no, I'm right.
And you know how much I hate saying that.
Yeah.
Because I don't. I try to say that as little as possible. Dickie, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, it is a simple, quick fix, but so is just reducing the amount of reinforcements you have available to you and making it less of a, you don't need 7 ships, you only need 5, or take one off, you only need 6. It solves it's a lot easier than bringing in 19 new ships, or even if you do summonable units. I mean, it solves 1 or 2 spots on a team. It doesn't solve your 19. And if you believe that we have the Ravager coming at some point, all those leaks were real, and they're the Ravager does make sense. I would love to see the ship. I would love to see it because if you read the story of the Ravager, it's the coolest ship I've ever seen in any science fiction. It's held together by the Force. It's a blown up starship held together by the Force, by Darth Nihilis's will and hate. It doesn't get much.
I've always said,
don't give us any bloody rebels. As long as they don't give us any rebels, as long as they don't waste our time with rebels, any ship is going to be welcome.
Yeah, I have always said that Darth
rebels. We have one too many at the moment. So another rebel. It's something like So that's the only faction that we don't need. Unless they throw in another, rebel capital ship.
Right.
Yeah. Which I don't see happening.
The only one the only one I see them doing would be, the only one that I would see them doing is Tantive 4, Princess Leia's.
Yeah.
What about, did Mon Mothma have a capital ship?
No, she was a senator, and then she was just, one of the political people that were part of the rebellion. She never held a military rank.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I do want to. I need to interject here because once again, I'm going to say thank you to Thad and Dickie for filling in this April Fool's edition of the Escape Podcast. Some of the stuff has been made up, but the opinions are real. And
I didn't make that up.
That's why I said the opinions are real.
Conversation with Sam Witwer.
Yeah.
Well, what I'd like to do, I'd like to carry this over through the break. We don't have a Dickie and the Noob, so what I'd like to do is take a short break here, return with Patreon's choice, and then we'll raid into Heinze, who's got the man himself, Arnold, on tonight.
Nice.
Yes,
who's that?
Admiral himself.
The Admiral himself will be there. So, but no, it's let's go to this break and do Patreon's choice. If you are a viewer of the channel and you have some points, you may by all means add a question for us to ask. If you are a Patreon, it's free to do in the Discord server. So we'll be right back after these messages right here on the Escape Pod cast.
HotBot in HotUtils is one of the most comprehensive tools for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
With integration into the super useful mod tool Grand Ivory, HotUtils can help you tackle some of the most difficult aspects of the game.
Not sure how to mod your roster for a certain game mode?
Use one of the many filters that automatically assigns the right mods to the right character in accordance with your guild needs.
Now with the digital features that can assist you and your guild officers in territory battles and territory wars, HotUtils is an amazing value.
And don't forget the useful tools for yourself in Grand Arena, like the in-depth and customizable compare feature.
Got multiple accounts like Neil, but not the time to remod them all?
With this one-stop utility, you can switch between your alts and never miss a mod upgrade or a mod switch before locking into GAC or Territory Wars.
Starting at just $5 a month, you don't want to miss out on these great tools.
HotUtils is the new official remodding service for the Escape Pod cast.
Visit HotUtils.com to learn more. That's HotUtils.com. And go ahead and spice up your Galaxy of Heroes experience.
Podawans, be sure to support the shows brought to you on the Escape Podcast Twitch and YouTube channel by becoming a Patreon. For as little as $2 a month, you can support us and get a little extra for yourself. With tiered rewards including access to Shitty Bill's Arena Tracking Bot, after-show access, inclusion in the GA Center leaderboards, behind-the-scenes access, and much more. There is something for everyone on our Discord server. Head on over to Patreon, that is patreon.com/The Escape Pod, and sign up today. Thank you for supporting and listening to the Escape Podcast.
You're listening to the Escape Pod cast.
All right, and as Thad goes out the door, welcome back to the Escape Podcast.
He's left me to pilot this thing alone.
It's okay.
Luckily,
I
have experienced crew members on the side.
Well, I'll tell you this: all the buttons, you've been doing all the work. All the buttons on that side of the ship, they don't work.
What?
Yeah.
It was all a lie?
Yeah, Thad's buttons don't work. You've been doing all the work.
I kind of figured Thad's buttons didn't work, but I just saw him. He's pressing a lot of buttons, like just random willy-nilly. And I was like, I thought he was going to crash us and nothing ever happened. So I'm like, okay.
So, I have not gotten any in the channel point redemptions yet, but we do have some questions from Zaz. We'll get back to those in just a moment. As you were saying, once Thad gets back, we'll do Patreon's choice. Let's talk about one of your brainchilds that we kind of teased and talked about last week. Will there be a III'd Swaggy Award?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about maybe switching up the format this year. It is an endeavor, and doing Dickie and the Noob at the same time, I'm like, okay, but then I thought maybe if we preempt Dickie and the Noob for a month, we have 12 categories, and every week the third segment would have 3 different awards. So we incorporated as the third segment for a month as we have the SWGOH. Now it is an awards show, and as we know, we would have to hire some extra security right now.
Yeah, I don't want Urs to come up and slap me and tell me to keep his name out of my mouth.
Well, after a few rounds in the hall, we don't know what exactly could happen. But yeah, I think it could be an interesting idea. I know generally the SWGOHs usually happen around June, which I can't believe is actually only now 2 months away. But yeah, so I think maybe we'll take the SWGOHs this year to, instead of a one-night format, just spread it out over a month long and have a month-long celebration of the
I was going to say
SWGOHs.
2-night WrestleMania.
No, that's tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah. You and I will be texting each other. Can't believe this just happened. So
Cody Rhodes. Oh my God.
Nev, what I mean, are you looking for, we just finished GA Center season 5.
Mm-hmm.
Calvin awesome. Performed awesome.
Yeah, he did very, very well. He didn't run away with the title, but he did win it cleanly and very clearly by 2 wins. He was the only person, like literally, he was the only person in that division aside from the Playbook. I think him and the Playbook were the only people to finish in Division 1 with single-digit losses. And that was it. Single digit. I mean, yes, Scribe was in Khyber and he did finish with single digits in the loss column. But you got to remember that Scribe started the season outside. He started outside of Khyber. I think it was either Erodium 1 or Khyber 5.
Right. Yeah, he started in Erodium.
His first month and a half was considerably easier than everybody that started in Khyber and finished in Khyber. So that explains that. But Calvin Awesome and the Playbook they've just been so impressive over the last month. Yeah, really, really impressive.
Unfortunately, unless something happens, unless there's a squishing or a removal of someone, we will not get in week 1 Playbook versus Arnold 2. Reason being,
but we might not get that, but it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen again.
It's
but
gonna happen.
But Arnold is 25th in the world, and Playbook is 20th in the world, and of course a multiple of 8 is 24. So unless somebody in the top 20 forgets to join, then we're not getting Arnold and Playbook again. This time around.
Well, we could get, we could get the Playbook, Arnold, and Loki all in the same group if somebody from 20 to 29.
Well, Loki and Arnold will be in the same grouping.
Yeah.
So we're definitely gonna see RSG versus Arnold coming up next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now,
and Sodef is 34th. So
Yeah.
he could climb into that fun as well.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say, Dickie?
I was just going to say, Nev, you pay close attention to, obviously running GA Center. You pay close attention to records and stuff like that. Have you noticed, I know when they put in this new format, this new matchmaking system, they said everybody would kind of flatten out to a 50-50 record, because you're going to be matched against people who, have you noticed that happening more?
No, because the matchmaking isn't working as intended just yet. The matchmaking is not going to work as intended for. I
beg to differ.
I initially thought that it would be. I initially thought that it would be like 4 to 6 months But the problem with the current system of matchmaking is, yes, the matchmaking works regarding two people playing against each other with the same win, with the same win-loss records, and taking into consideration what the skill rating, what their skill rating is. The issue is with the GP at the moment I've suggested, that there are ways that they could make groups more equitable. It's not going to make it fair, but that there are ways to make the groups equitable, to kind of, so somebody that has, because I see reports all the time. Oh, I faced someone with 2 million or 3 million more GP than me, and it's like, well, that's just, sure, their top 80 might be similar, but then to have 3 million on top of what the opponent has, it doesn't matter what is on defense. They will have a dozen relic squads that the other opponent doesn't have that they can just throw. So your defense could hold once, and another squad could hold once, and another squad could hold once. And if you're fighting someone of roughly the same roster size as you, that's going to cause problems for your opponent. If they've got 2 million more GP on you, though, however, then that single hold for those three squads isn't going to mean squat, because your opponent's like, well, doesn't really matter. I've got like another 12 squads I can throw at those 3 single taps or those 3 double taps.
Okay, Neil, so, I'm going to throw this out there. Our Patreon leaderboard is your everyday Joe. Every single one of them ended either 7-5 or 6-6. And you're saying this whole thing about GP disparity. Neil, Calvin Awesome and I's accounts are very similar. I fought people that look just like Calvin Awesome a bunch. And he is 29-7, while I'm 17-19.
Yeah, there are always exceptions to the rule.
Yeah, but you say there's always exceptions to the rule.
Calvin Awesome and the playbook are exceptions to the rule. All right, right underneath Calvin Awesome and the playbook is the Grand Admiral himself, who has a Kraken account. So you look at some of his matches. He has more to throw at the playbook than the playbook has to throw at him. So the exceptions of the playbook and Calvin Awesome are they know their rosters better than most people know their rosters. Their mods are better, their squad combos are better. They just know more, they know more about what they can do. Now, yeah, sure, the Grand Admiral knows what his squad can do. But if you were to take the Grand Admiral's account and mirror it and then give one to the playbook and one to Calvin Awesome, I do want, and this isn't, I'm not casting aspersions on the Grand Admiral. I'm simply saying that that Calvin Awesome and the playbook would beat him probably the majority of the time.
They're outliers.
If they had equal accounts and they fought each other 10 times, I would hazard a guess, that Calvin and the playbook would win 7 out of those 10, and Arnold would win maybe 3 out of 10. He's good. He is very good, but he has the roster to be able to.
He's got bigger guns.
He's got bigger guns. Exactly. Yes, he's accurate with them. Yes, he knows what he's doing with them, but he has more toys to play with. If Calvin and the playbook had the same amount of toys as Arnold, they wouldn't be where they are now. They would be in the top 10 and they would stay there. They would just be permanent fixtures in the top 10.
Yeah, when we're looking at people who are like in the top 10 or even the top 50, we're looking at outliers. Like these are people who aren't gonna like go down to the 50-50. But like I look at my experience, I went and got my first wooden spoon this GAC, and I could remember in a long time, but it was actually sandwiched between 2 3-0s. So I went 3-0, 0-3, and then 3-0.
Everybody in Kaiba at some point is going to go 0-3.
Well, I'm in
and I'm not joking. Somebody, it is now a rite of passage, right? It really, really is. And there are people who I know that literally just have escaped an 0-3 so far by the skin of their teeth, right? He even went 1-2 in one of his rounds this month just gone. The round that he won by one single banner. He avoided a wooden spoon by one banner. Okay, so it's down to the what. But like I said, you know, if you can avoid the 0-3 for a few more months until the so that the matchmaking gets closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to account similarity, then yeah, there are going to be exceptions to there will be exceptions to the rule. Sometimes you will just get, you know, an account in your group that has all 6 GLs to your 1, 2, or 3. It's gonna happen because there are people that are part-timers.
All right, let's get to Patreon's choice here so we don't go too long like we did last week. Zaz asks, top 3 movies of all time. Dickie, Thad, Nev, then me.
For me, my number 1 is going to be The Dark Knight. That is a classic that I can rewatch over and over and over again. And if you ask me this tomorrow, the next 2 will probably change from day to day. But I will go with the original Mummy movie. That movie I can watch over and over again. It will put me in a happy place. It will, like, I have no choice but to smile if I'm watching that movie.
Brendan Fraser does that.
Yes. God bless him and God bless that. And oh my God, Tom Cruise should have never touched that franchise. And my number 3 will be the original Stargate movie. So there is an Egyptian theme to that. I realize. There's the guy with an arm covered with Egyptian tattoos and who's spent time in Egypt. And so, yes, there is a theme to that. But yeah, that will be my top 3 for today.
All right. Thad.
Easy. Naked Gun, 33 1/3. Leprechaun in Space and Leprechaun in the Hood. Oh, sorry. Leprechaun in the Hood. I believe it is.
I don't like scary movies.
Oh, those aren't scary.
They're only scary if you work in the finance department of the company that made them.
Indeed.
Neil, what you got?
It's not really fair to whittle it down to top 3 movies of all time, but I mean, none of you have got it right. But, you know, I mean, you all got it wrong. I mean,
well, I got my
none of you said The Godfather. None of you said The Shawshank Redemption. And none of you said Earth Girls Are Easy. So you're all wrong.
You mentioning the Shawshank Redemption, Thaddeus Broderick never talked about that day.
Thaddeus Broderick never talked about that day.
No. The Earth Girls Are, you know, if I was my 3 you know, there's genres. You've got like serious movies and sci-fi and comedy, and I mean, if I was going for my 3 favorite movies, it would be Earth Girls Are Easy, A Fish Called Wanda, and Tank Girl.
So for me, I'm gonna say my 3 favorite movies because the question was top 3 movies of all time, and they're all critically panned. I'm gonna warn you now. Biodome, Basketball,
and Orgasmo.
No. Princess Bride.
Great movie.
Yeah, Princess Bride's a good one. I have watched that.
Very good choice. I think I know Basketball by heart. So,
hey guys,
I've got to take off. Horse. All right, man. All right, that.
Thank you very much for joining me on this journey, my man.
I'll just see myself out in one of the escape pods.
Don't exit, so we don't end up screwing it up.
All right, sounds good, guys.
Go ahead and mute yourself. All right, top 3 songs for a good night out. Get Lucky by Daft Punk. Close Off by Gym Class Heroes. And Get Naked by Methods of Mayhem. There you go.
That's a tough question for me because I was a DJ for 20 years. So there is a lot of songs that were signature in my repertoire. But I'll go with 2 that are my signature that I had to play every time I DJ'd, or people would get upset because I played them together. And that is DMX Party Up and Eminem's Without Me. And the reason they worked so well together is because when DMX would go, meet me outside, and then I would come in with
Two Trailer Park Girls,
girls go around the outside, And I came up with, it just came to me one night I did it and it became a thing. And every time I DJ'd, it was requested that those 2 songs be played together in that way, to the point where I actually pre-mixed it and I made a mashup of those. It's not really a mashup, but just a mix where DMX, 2 Trailer Park Girls go around the outside. And then, yeah. And
that's cool.
I will go for the final one. It is from the Basketball soundtrack, Jump in the Line by the Cherry Poppin' Daddies. That song you can play that in any bar. It could be a rock bar, it could be a hip hop bar, it could be, if you play that song, people will get up, they will do a conga line, and they will go nuts. You play it at weddings, you can play it wherever, it works in any setting.
All right, Neil.
Okay, so Car Wash, Hot Stuff, and something a little bit more modern. What's good for a good night out? Oh, come on. Think of a decent third one that's Saturday Night.
Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting?
No. Wigfield Saturday Night.
Okay. All right. Because All Right is All Right for Fighting was the parenthetical title. So I just had to make sure. All right. Final.
You speak my language when you call a song from the 90s something more recent. You speak my language.
All right. Last question from Zaz is top 3 bald celebrities you cannot choose Thaddeus. For me, Vincent D'Onofrio, Michael Chiklis, and Patrick Stewart.
I will steal your Vincent D'Onofrio. I will go the transporter.
Jason Statham.
Jason Statham. That is the one. And I've got to go with The Rock.
I'll go with Yul Brynner, Telly Savalas, and Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Because of his performance in Batman.
Just Danny DeVito, because he's funny.
I'd just like to congratulate us all for keeping Will Smith's wife's name out of our mouths.
Oh, no. How did I not think of that one? Oh, how did I not think of that one? Oh
my God.
Well, you didn't want to get slapped. I understand. I mean,
All right. With that being said, Dickie, what you got coming up on the channel soon?
For me, basically the channel is most of my stuff now is Dickie and the Noob. I post the odd video now and then, but it's very few and far between. So yeah, for me, it's a lot of Dickie and the Noob. And I did have another idea. I know we spoke about my swaggy idea. And if anybody out there is interested, I thought about, perhaps starting a Star Wars comic book club, where in the Discord we could assign, we could throw in a PDF for a comic book, just a version for something you legally purchased, but you want to read it online on the PDF, right? So you did purchase this book, and we could have a room in the Discord where we kind of chat about that story arc. Every month we do a different story arc, say Vader number 1 to 10.
I got those down here.
Yeah. Well, for those who still need to purchase their copy, we could throw the PDF in there. I can get them.
We can link them to where they can find cheap versions of the books.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go.
So
with the link where to purchase it. And I think if anybody is interested, hit up the Discord, let us know, and I'd be glad to host that, and maybe we can incorporate like a monthly get together or something.
I would do trade paperbacks, because trade paperbacks are easily accessible, especially at Goodwill stores, half price books. So.
I have a shelves of them here, so yeah.
Neil?
What?
You're looking forward to the return of GAC next week, aren't you?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm very much looking forward to the. We're already seeing some of the quality of life updates for GAC. I just hope that they don't screw it up. I'm really, really hoping that they don't screw up GAC.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to its return. I'm always looking forward to its return.
All right. And we have some good news on the Vault 37 Studios front. We have finished the DC villains. We have one game to go, and it is a small game. We may get to Skywalker Saga on release date, or at least shortly after.
So if I may ask you a quick question about that, because are you finishing, I'm playing
100%.
I'm playing my first Lego game. Granted, I'm doing it with a 5-year-old, so it's taking a little bit longer. But yeah, to get these things at 100% is a wow.
Vault 37 Studios on YouTube has all of our archives. The only things that have been edited is the Lego movie and the Lego Ninjago movie that used movie footage as a cutscene. So I had to edit those out. But other than that, everything is there. Even Christy and I fighting and getting mad at each other because one person accidentally goes on. Total 100% unadulterated footage.
I can see how you can get frustrated, and like I said, I'm doing it with a 5-year-old, so it's an experience. But wow, I never thought Lego games would be so involved. It's like trying the 100% of Final Fantasy games sometimes. So
yeah, and we have one more game to 100% before we get to Skywalker Saga. Hopefully, it happens this weekend. Tune in and find out.
Awesome.
So. And Dr. Feelgood using some of the new animated emotes from the channel as well in the stream. All right, guys, that is going to do it for us. Sadly, Thaddeus isn't here to remind everyone to smile and stay nerdy. But I will say, be nice to each other, damn it. Neil?
Push the button.
Don't mind if I do.
What's going on? Where the hell are we? Paris?
Thank you for pressing the self-destruct button.
Attention! This is Colonel Sanders in forward command. Abandon ship! Abandon ship! All personnel proceed to escape pods. Close down the circuits. Evacuate the city. Self-destruct mechanism has been activated. Abandon ship! Where is it? Where is it? It's gotta be here. Out of order! Even in the future, nothing works.
This ship will self-destruct in exactly 10 seconds. Counting down. 10, 9, 8, 6.
6! What happened to 7?
Just kidding. 3, 2, 1. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Hello, friends. This is Thaddeus from Going Nerdy, the Escape Podcast
cast was filmed in front of a live studio audience full of tweaked out murder bears.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.